Think we're live.
So excited for today, you guys. You don't even understand it.
Me too, Jenny.
I'm just a man on his way to the moon, wishing the rocket would go faster. All the stars remind me of you, yeah they do. I'm on my way to you. I'm just a man on his way to the moon, wishing the rocket would go faster. All the stars remind me of you, yeah they do. I'm on my way to you.
Oh, I don't
Going
know.
on the board.
Getting an echo a little bit, but I think it's good. Turn this on.
Are we doing costume party today?
If you want to, you can wear whatever you want. New Year's Eve,
Right.
dress
Bring
up
the pirate
as
back.
whatever. Dress. You said you're gonna wear your pirate costume.
Yeah, I'll be a
Good morning. We're live. Thank you guys for tuning in to the
Canna-Joe
morning show. Got an echo going on here.
It's okay on the video.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Canna-Joe morning show live. I'm Michael Ford.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm Jenny.
I'm Leisha, the producer.
Dab and Dave with the weather.
Dad's not
Intern
going the
job.
way we wanted to. Dab.
You got it, Vari.
Vari got it. No.
And I'm Vari, man. Thank you guys for joining us on this beautiful Friday. Happy New Year's Eve. We are on the cusp of 2022. And I just heard a scary ass conspiracy theory yesterday. They were like, yeah, they're like, what if 2022 is actually 2020 part 2?
I thought that was 2021.
No, I think that was
The precursor.
20.5, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so we got a special guest on with us today from Superior Cannabis. We want to give a shout out to Jeff Brinkman, man. He's one of the local CBD growers here in Minnesota. If you didn't know we had a CBD program, we do have a bunch of local hemp farmers. Shout out to all the Minnesota homegrown companies. And we got a special topic that we want to talk about today. How's it going, Jeff?
Good. Thank you guys for having me. Yeah, we talk about CBD growing. Do you want to kind of introduce a little bit of what's going on, Michael?
Sure. So as most of you guys know, we have been talking at the normal meetings, if you've been to any of those. Also, we have talked on here a couple times about the things that are going on with CBD in Minnesota. So some companies are getting cease and desist letters to stop selling CBD edibles as well as tinctures, if I'm correct, any type of mixture. The reason for that is the loophole in the Minnesota state law where it says that any level of marijuana mixture becomes illegal. So only in the flower form is it legal. So it's kind of a loophole that they're using to target small local businesses in Minnesota. And it's crazy, you know, that they're doing that when hemp is federally legal. Jeff, what's going on? You want to tell us what's going on up in Duluth?
Yeah. So we got middle of November, we had the first cease and desist order from the Minnesota Department of Agriculture. And within that language, it really talked about CBD being a drug, and therefore it being added to products. These products become adulterated. And so it mentions edibles, it mentions drinks, but what it failed to mention, even though the language was so broad, is it failed to talk about, well, what is a tincture? What's a tablet? What's a capsule? And I was kind of explaining to a few attorneys that were looking into this for their clients, I just said, hey guys, I don't see really any limits to this adulteration language. And it was within, a week that then the pharmacy board came out with a report. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but they're basically going to be recommending to the legislature that anything edible or ingestible will be banned from any product. And then also Delta 8 is going to be considered completely illegal.
Wow.
So that's our concern. Is it was interesting. Some of the same products they cited in their cease and desist had recently been added to the medical marijuana manufacturers' websites, CBD edibles in the form of gummies and drinks, some of the same products. So I kind of raised the red flag, like, what's going on here? I've written to both the Department of Agriculture, I've written to the Office of Medical Cannabis, which there's more things going on there. I don't know if you've heard, but
Yep.
I feel like we just talked about conspiracies, right? Green Thumb just bought out Leafline Labs, one of our medical manufacturers. Green Thumb is a multi-state operator. I think their holding group is out of Canada, but they own like Planet, they have interest in Planet 13. So they have a full rec division. So these companies are coming in, including Vireo Health as well, which is our green goods manufacturer. These companies are coming in and locking out not only us out of the marijuana market, they're locking us out of the CBD market. And to me, this is just the start of something very big. And we need to be, as a group, really need to be proactive on the Minnesota Office of Medical Cannabis and also the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, because it is going to create a very corporate structure for this industry in Minnesota. And if you look at Vireo Health, which is the green goods manufacturer, their business plan is to basically be first to market, locking out others until they're well established, and then maybe relaxing the licensing for recreational or medical. But before that, these companies are hard at it to keep not only the marijuana manufacturers, other growers out of the medical program or rec program, but definitely the CBD side of it. And we're hurting. That cease and desist dropped us about 40% of our profits. And we're trying to hang on to our employees. We're trying to market in other ways, do some affiliate marketing with some of our suppliers. But we had new products coming online. We had a ton of money into new products coming with our own hemp in it, and everything's on hold at this point.
Damn.
So we're kind of in a situation where we need some action. We've talked to the Minnesota Cannabis Association. They're looking into what they can do for the industry, but our local growers, producers, labs are under attack, and it's not a joke, and it's not a conspiracy theory. It's happening.
Yeah, and it's crazy because this is like our worst nightmare. This is what we were hoping would not happen in a legal market in Minnesota over the years. So I've been working on legalization for about 6 years. And we've always had this vision that we didn't want a big corporate marijuana legalization in Minnesota. We wanted it to be local grown, small farmers, where it includes the community. You know what I'm saying? And it seems like the way that they're doing things now is specifically to stop that, to block out all the small growers, to block out all the small businesses. And they're even reaching as far as stopping CBD, where, there's really no THC in CBD, and Yeah, it's our worst nightmare. I know we did have a discussion with Thomas Gallagher, as well as Curtis Hanna, who's also working on some stuff here in Minnesota. And we're hoping to target the mixture law, because the mixture law is where the loophole is at. They're saying that it's only by dry weight volume. So we're hoping to remove that language from the mixture law to not include cannabis. So there's a lot of things that need to be done, man. But, that doesn't help small growers like yourself, or like Grounded Gardens out there. Like, they're really small. They're barely, keeping their business, afloat here in Minnesota. And I want to, it just sucks. It's something that needs to be expressed to the cannabis community. I think it's a great opportunity now, especially we have an event coming up tonight where we can talk to some of our community. We're going to need you guys to get the word out there. We're going to need you guys to do everything we can. Jeff, what can we do to help you, as a small business, as a community from Minnesota Mirror? I know we're in a cartoon right now, but it's a little weird. But as the Minnesota marijuana community, what can we do to help support you?
I think, number one is really that advocacy and reaching out to your legislators. And Michael, you've done such a great job in the past on getting that link to our legislators. And the one thing I'm seeing is a lot of silence on their part while this is going on. And I don't know if it's because they're all concerned about COVID and the economy and all that, but yet this is such a big part of growing our economy that, our future is at stake. And, part of this economy is going to be at stake if we don't get out and, tell them we want a local market. We don't want this, these national firms coming in and just swooping everything up. And, but it's very intentional right now. And, too, I think questioning the Office of Medical Cannabis, like, what's going on here? I've got several letters in, I'm waiting for answers. And basically I'm writing letters for documentation, whether they respond or not, potentially for a lawsuit. And they probably know that, so they're going to answer very carefully. But I guess our first outreach, I think, needs to be legislators. They've got to be heard, and they've got to respond. We can't just, be throwing these letters and comments and all of this effort to our legislators and have them just kind of, throw in the garbage.
Right. Yeah. And, it seems like legislators on both sides support him. I know cannabis, it gets a little sketchy with, we talk about recreational and legalization, but when we talk about hemp, it seems like there's a general support from all the legislators, and there's also general support for medical. But in Minnesota, it seems like in medical, they're blocking out all the local farmers. They're only using those two companies, which are now being sold to corporate companies, which are no longer Minnesota owned. It's kind of crappy, man. And there's some things we got to do. I know as we get into 2022, throughout this year, we've kind of been dialing back a little bit, taking a break. But 2022, we're hoping to ramp up as much as we can and get the supporters on board to start reaching out to legislators. If you guys don't know, 2022 is a huge year for Minnesota. So maybe that's the reason why people are kind of a little skeptical and stepping light. But all of our legislators are up for re-election because of redistricting. The Senate is up for re-election. The House of Representatives is up for re-election. The governor is up for re-election. Attorney General, everybody's up for re-election this year. So it's going to be on us to get out and organize in the community. In 2018, we were able to organize enough supporters to gain over 15,000 signatures within 10 days. And that's how Legal Marijuana Now and Grassroots Legalized Cannabis became major political parties. We got them people, we got a bunch of people on the ballot. We actually got the votes, and it took a lot of organization, that just took a lot of time out of people to get that. But now we have to rally together to, one, stop what's being done to these small local companies in Minnesota that are only growing hemp. And also stop what's happening to our medical program, where they're blocking out local Minnesota residents from being involved in that process. I know when they did start the medical cannabis, they charged up to like $10,000 just to apply to get into the medical cannabis business here in Minnesota.
Well, it was $20,000 with no guarantee. It was basically
$20,000 lottery ticket.
Yep.
and then you don't get your money back. And I'm pretty sure they already had the 2 people they wanted picked out anyway before they took everybody's money. So it's some crappy crap that's going on in Minnesota, man. And it's time to shut the shit down, man. We gotta, yeah, you know, we've been marching, we've been protesting in the past, we've been reaching out to legislature. They're working on legislation, and every single year they're like, hey, we passed something or we introduced something, but we didn't get anything done besides a lot of smoke. Honestly, full legalization is the answer. You know, that's the only thing that's
Right.
going to save, you know, everybody. Once we make it legal and open up a market where, you know, growers can grow the flowers that they need, you know, maybe we regulate it in a way to check the flowers and make sure the products are good. But legalization is the answer, man. It's going to stop, because hemp is like, it shouldn't have to be legalized for people to grow, sell, and cultivate
Right.
hemp in whatever way they want to. In addition to that, hemp is legal federally. And in Minnesota, our state constitution states that no license is required to peddle or sell the products of a farm or garden. Now, that would include hemp, right? So how do you
Absolutely.
require some type of licensing to grow hemp?
Well, just to ask
Um,
this question, what was being grown in 1857 when they wrote that shit? And from what I've researched, not only could you get hemp in any general store, you could get THC tinctures in any pharmaceutical.
Oh, absolutely.
Correct.
So, and Minnesota was growing a shit ton of hemp during that period. So,
Yeah.
you know, they were making sales out of it. They were making rope out of it. You know, you know, obviously later on, at
Trading.
one point during the war, governments made farmers grow it until
Yep.
the war was over. And then they said, all right, no, you can't grow it anymore. Fuck you.
Can I give you an example of a couple of things that went on that really concerned me as of recent? Vireo Health in the medical market got their license renewed. And I started looking into Vireo Health, and I don't know if you know this, but when they first started out as a licensee, a medical licensee in Minnesota, if you type in Vireo Health smuggling, you'll find
I heard about that.
you'll find a
Across state
case,
lines, they're bringing products.
and they brought concentrates, which is much different than flour, obviously, when it's being transported. They went from Minnesota. They had a deadline in New York at one of their dispensaries that they were not going to be able to make with their grow in New York. So they moved oils from $500 to $1,000 worth of oils across state lines to New York, got busted. And that was some of the top level people in Vireo Health's company. It wasn't just a rogue worker or what have you. So they got charged, and they appealed 3 or 4 times. I don't know the exact number. And the main person, which was I'm trying to think, it was their chief medical officer. She was charged with 80 hours, or her sentence was 80 hours of community service.
For trafficking concentrates across state lines.
$500,000 worth. Now I look at the charge that Luis Hummel got. He got a felony and lost his hemp license.
Yep,
He had
because
some
of the-
hemp derived concentrates just over the, I think they were around 3%, but it was derived from 0.3% federally legal hemp. And he got hammered.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
Yep.
you look at the disparity just in the enforcement of that, and it's almost unbelievable. And I had
He
written a
didn't
letter
even
to
cross
the
state lines. He was local here in Minnesota.
Yep.
Just to add to that,
Wow.
he didn't cross state
And his
lines.
was-
He had legal hemp, and it was processed into a tincture. Was it a tincture?
I believe it was like a shatter or
Okay.
a wax, which to me, I don't think any physical alteration of hemp should be illegal as long as it starts out from a legal, hemp plant.
Yeah.
Just like
Well,
Michael.
That's the thing about these. I don't understand about the strains, and maybe you can kind of shed some light on this, because feminized hemp is feminized hemp. It doesn't have subcategories like indica, sativa do. I mean, indica and sativa, if you look on Leafly, there's just hundreds and hundreds of different combination of strains. But as it's stated, even in the language of the Farm Bill, that supposedly it's not really about the percentage. It's about the source of the plant. And what they're saying is, if you got a plant that is my Blue Dream CBD here, well, that means eventually somewhere along the line, somebody crossed a Blue Dream THC plant with feminized hemp, and they came up with this and they bred out the THC.
Yep.
And now, because of just that act alone, because the language seems to say that it's the source, not the percentage. It's the source of the plant. So basically what they're saying, you could have feminized hemp. That's it.
And that's what my point is, I can have a nice bud of CBD hemp. And when they test it, they take about 5 inches of that top, right? Including the leaves and the stem. Well, if I just take a minute and trim it, according to the state, it's illegal. If it pops over that 0.3, it's insane.
Now, on top of that, how much you get, percentage wise, how much you spend on testing when you like
this year will probably be a 3,000 to 5,000.
Yeah, see, that's crazy. That's another big problem that there is. They make this so expensive that small growers can't even afford to have their stuff tested on a regular basis.
So we had, I'll give you an example of that. In the hemp forum every year after the season, I had talked to Anthony Cordelet, which is one of the attorneys at the MDA, and we sell 3.5 gram trim buds. And when I was talking to him, I said, hey, what do you, when I trim this and we're at 0.3% pre-trim and I trim this down, I'm like, how do we avoid, an issue with law enforcement, an issue with the state, when we're really coming off a plant or the part of the plant that totally tested, it could be the same, off the same bud. I said, how do we, ensure our legality, and how do we ensure we stay out of the target zone of law enforcement if we want to promote our smokable hemp? Still one of my favorite ways to get my CBD.
Exactly.
And he's like, well, you'd have to test every package.
That's insane.
Well, you need 5 grams to test. So if we have a 3.5 gram,
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
Sorry,
like,
Jeff,
man,
I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Barry does got to get out of here for an appointment in about 3 or 4 minutes. So I do kind of want to wrap up our show this morning, but I did want to have you on as a guest, man, to kind of talk about some of the stuff that you're dealing with. We haven't had any guests on here yet besides ourselves and our intern. So thank you for being our first guest.
Absolutely.
I actually wore your shirt to the gym yesterday, man.
Awesome.
I got the shirt. I also got the hoodie at the what is that? The Legacy Glass CBD cup. I picked up a hoodie too.
Nice.
So, and
Well,
I got
sure appreciate your guys' advocacy.
What's that?
Sure appreciate your guys' advocacy and support. And it's time to push, guys. It really is.
Definitely. Well, I'm looking forward to connecting with you again in person for a one-to-one as we get into the new year, so we can figure out what we can do to help you guys out up there in Duluth. Vari, we're going to be in Duluth this year, aren't we?
Yes, we will.
Yep. I think that's one of our target areas that we'll spend a lot of time in. So hopefully we'll be able to connect you guys up there as well.
Let us know. We'd love to host.
What's that?
Let us know. We'd love to host.
Dope. I appreciate it. Jeff, you sharing the screen, Vari? Oh, nope, that's us. Anyway, well, thank you guys for tuning into the show today. If you didn't, if you didn't hear, Final 420 tonight, 3:00. If you're in the Minnesota marijuana event community, you will see the event. If you're not in the community, send a message to one of us. We'll get you the info. 3 to 6 p.m. We're going to be hanging out. Vari, you got some words of wisdom? I know you got 2 minutes.
Hey, let me get a quick word in here for Vari. This thing. Just want to let everybody know it's going to be a little bit of snow going through this evening. Should be cleared out by midnight. Should not be an issue, but it may leave behind some slick spots. Be aware. There could be about 1 to 3 inches in this swath going right just north of the cities in this band. And the big issue is tomorrow morning is going to be the temperatures. We were talking about Sunday being the coldest day. It looks like Saturday now is going to be it. We're looking at wind chills, very, very, very dangerous wind chills are going to be out there. In fact, for the most western part of the state, there is a wind chill warning out, just so you know. We're talking wind chills 35 to 45 below zero. this kind of temperatures, exposed skin can freeze very quickly, and you can be suffering from it. Vari, my weather girl here, is pointing that out. As you can see, that such areas.
Oh, he's at the board.
He's at the board. I know. I saw that yesterday. I was like, hey, can he go up there? So anyway, as we see, it's going to be extremely cold tomorrow on New Year's Day, and that's going to stick around for, maybe through Monday or so. It looks like there is a change coming, as Vari will be more than happy to point out, on Tuesday, especially if you're down south. There's some temperatures down south that I've seen that are going to be hitting possibly 40. So this is going to be another wild ride this winter, but we're really used to it. So anyway, just be safe. You guys have a great New Year's, and back to you, Vari.
All right, thanks, Dave. For the weather, Vari, words of wisdom before we jump off of here.
Yeah. If it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. On that note, we'll see you next year.
All right, you guys, we're out of here. Peace.
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Next year.
I'm just a